Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Gurudev हरि नाम संकीर्तन कीजिए। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Hare Krishna, we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2nd, Chapter 6th, entitled Purusha Shukta Confirmed, text 9 and 10. So text 9 doesn't have purport. So directly we recite 10th verse. Okay. So we'll recite 9th verse. Payur yamasya mitrasya parimokshasya narada himsaya niratter mrityor nirayasya gudam smrtah. Payuryamasya mitrasya parimokshasya narada himsaya niratter mrityor nirayasya gudam smrtah. Payuryamasya mitrasya parimokshasya narada himsaya niratter mrityor nirayasya gudam smrtah. Payuryamasya mitrasya parimokshasya narada himsaya niratter mrityor nirayasya gudam smrtah. Payuryamasya mitrasya parimokshasya narada himsaya niratter mrityor nirayasya gudam smrtah. Word to word meaning and translation by Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Payuhu, the evacuating outlet. Yamasya, the controlling deity of death. Mitrasya, of Mitra. Parimokshasya, of the evacuating whole. Narada, O Narada. Himsayaha, of envy. Niratte, of misfortune. Mrityo, of death. Nirayasya, of hell. Gudam, the rectum. Smrtaha, is understood. O Narada, the evacuating outlet of the universal form of the Lord is the abode of the controlling deity of death, Mitra, and the evacuating hole and the rectum of the Lord is the place of envy, misfortune, death, hell, etc. So I will read text 10, its translation and purport. Parabhuter adharmasya tamasaschapi paschima. Okay, you can recite once behind. Parabhuter adharmasya tamasaschapi paschimah nadyo nada nadinam cha gotra nam asti samstitah gotra nam asti samhatihi. Word to word meaning. Parabhute, of frustration. Adharmasya, of immortality. Tamasaha, of ignorance. Cha, and. Api, as also. Paschimaha, the back. Nadya, of the intestines. Nada, of the great rivers. Nadinam, of the rivulets. Cha, also. Gotranam, of the mountains. Asthi, bones. Samhati, accumulation. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. The back of the Lord is the place for all kinds of frustration and ignorance, as well as for immortality. From His veins flow the great rivers and rivulets, and on His bones are stacked the great mountains. Purport. In order to defy the impersonal conception of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, a systematic analysis of the physiological and anatomical constitution of His transcendental body is given here. It is clear from the available description of the body of the Lord, His universal form, that the form of the Lord is distinct from the forms of ordinary mundane conception. In any case, He is never a formless void. Ignorance is the back of the Lord, and therefore the ignorance of the less intelligent class of men is also not separate from His bodily conception. Since His body is the complete whole of everything that be, one cannot assert that He is impersonal only. On the contrary, the perfect description of the Lord holds that He is both impersonal and personal simultaneously. The personality of Godhead is the original feature of the Lord, and His impersonal emanation is but a reflection of His transcendental body. Those who are fortunate enough to have a view of the Lord from the front can realize His personal feature, whereas those who are frustrated and are thus kept on the ignorance side of the Lord, or in other words, those who have the view of the Lord from back, realize Him in His impersonal feature. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamcha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschate Deshtarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Before beginning, I would like to seek blessings of all devotees so that I speak on Bhagavatam with right mood attitude for my own purification and glorification of Lord and my own purification. Hare Krishna. So, actually this chapter is entitled Purusha Sukta Confirmed. So, this Purusha Sukta prayers are given in Rig Veda. Some prayers are there. And that description of the Garbhodakshay, that is the description of Garbhodakshay Vishnu. And here also, this Virat Roop which is explained is of Garbhodakshay Vishnu, who is expansion of Karnodakshay Vishnu, and he is the he is the soul, super soul of one particular universe. So this description is explained here, and Purusha Sukta confirmed is some of the verses, I think 13, 14 or 15, some verses, they exactly match with the description of the Purusha Sukta prayers given in Rig Veda. So that is why in this, and it matches exactly, and it is about Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. That's why it is called as Purusha Sukta confirmed. So actually this Virat Roop is meant for less intelligent people, those who are not ready for the actual original form of the Lord, which is two-handed Samsundar form. So those who are not ready, or those who cannot understand how that form is the source of everything. So it is very, very difficult to understand how everything is there in that form. But by some fortune, by mercy of Lord, devotees they can understand. For Lord it is possible. For Lord everything is possible. But those who don't have that much mercy of Lord and His devotees, they cannot understand this. So for them, for these less intelligent people, this Virat Roop is there in this explanation. And basically it is like our body. So it is, the explanation is similar to, actually our body is like that Virat Roop. And that is also imagination in some of the previous verses, or I think previous chapter last verse, some of the last verses, that explanation was there, that this Muni, they imagine this form actually. So now in this particular verse, and this explanation of the Virat Roop's body is just like our bodily limbs, our body, the way it is there. In the same way, it is like parallel explanation of the Lord's body and our body. So here in this verse, the evacuating outlet, the 9th verse of the universal form of the Lord is abode of controlling deity of death, Mitra, and evacuating whole, and the rectum of the Lord is the place of envy, misfortune, death, hell, and etc. So usually whatever comes out of the body is not considered good. So similarly these qualities, they are considered like, they are like waste, they are not useful. At least this is what I understood from this verse. And the envy, misfortune, death, hell, just like whatever comes out of the body is not considered good, it is inauspicious. So similarly these qualities, they are not good to cultivate or to have these qualities. At least theoretically we should understand. And this 10th verse, which we are going to discuss, the back of the Lord is the place of all kinds of frustration and ignorance, as well as for immortality. From His veins flow the great rivers and rivulets, and on His bones are stacked the great mountains. So, in one sense, whatever we see in this material world is coming from the Supreme Lord. The source is Lord. So, we are completely dependent on these resources, whatever is there in this world for our living. So we are all completely dependent on these resources and ultimately on the Lord. So this fact we have to always remember. Now the back of the Lord is the place of all kinds of frustration and ignorance, as well as for immortality. So the words, the respective words are Parabhute, Parabhut, which is also, the other word is Parabhav, Adharma and Tamasaha. So this is back of the Lord. So actually front means what? We see the Lord, and specifically we understand the instructions of the Lord. So for us devotees, we have the instructions in the form of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. So we understand, we get the knowledge. And specifically different types of knowledge is given, Shad Darshan and many other aspects are given in different texts of the Vedas. But essence of that is Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. So we devotees, for us, it is very important to every day get the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. Every day we read Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya. Every day we serve Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam because they are words of Lord, and it is about Lord. Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam is non-different. So this purport, Prabhupada is explaining that how this Virat Roop is the explanation which is given. It is to support the impersonal conception of Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it is for those who cannot handle or those who cannot understand, those who don't have faith in the two-handed original form of Krishna. And Prabhupada is also explaining that Lord is simultaneously impersonal and personal. In Bhagavad Gita also he says, the Brahmanohi Pratistham. I am the basis of impersonal conception or impersonal understanding. And we have this example of a sun rays. Actual personality is there, sun globe, sun personality is there. But at the same time he is also impersonal. So same way, for Lord is actually he is person from his bodily, from his body, this impersonal conception or this impersonal aspect of Lord is there. So this statement is there. The personality of Godhead is original feature of the Lord. So original is personality and his impersonal emanation is but a reflection of his transcendental body. So this purport is all about how this impersonal aspect is coming from the personality of the Lord. So we'll try to discuss on this statement, the back of the Lord is the place of all kinds of frustration, ignorance as well as immortality. So ignorance is nothing but lack of knowledge actually, tamasaha. And tamogun is one of the modes which is driving people, which is driving living beings in this world to forget the Lord and involve themselves in the fruitive activities which will continue their repeated birth, death cycle in this world. So this lack of knowledge we can see in this world, in today's world, or any time when one is not having knowledge, spiritual knowledge, his life is always in ignorance. And if somebody is frustrated, it is because of ignorance, ultimately, ignorance about one's own actual one's own spiritual swarup and knowledge about the Lord. When one is in ignorance, he will always be frustrated. So many times people, they may say, oh, I am frustrated. Just like recently I was distributing books. So one person, he said, he just saw the book after repeated request. He just saw and he said, actually, I don't believe in Lord because in my life there are many problems. And if Lord exists, how problems should be there in my life or in this world? So this misunderstanding we have or generally is there. The problems, if there are problems in my life or in this world, then because those problems exist, Lord is not there. But this is as per the understanding of Bhagavad Gita or explanation of the Bhagavad Gita. Whatever frustration one goes individually or at different levels, as at the level of family, society, country, state, whatever. So that frustration is due to lack of knowledge or that misery is not because Lord wants it. Just like a father or a parents, they don't want their child to suffer, but they also want him to educate. So that's why they force him. Prabhupada gives this example. Even when he was child, I think his parents, they had deputed one person for him to rescue to school. So forcefully he would go crying. Now these parents, they don't want, but they also want to educate. So similarly, actually in this world, whatever suffering is there, whatever difficulty is there in one's life, it is because of our own activities in the past which we have forgotten. But when we take up the process of bhakti, that all miseries, they go away. One of the symptoms of practicing pure bhakti is kleshagni. So all the miseries we can get rid of by practicing bhakti. So point is, when we are frustrated, when we see frustration or difficulties or miserable situations around, it is just due to ignorance. And ignorance specifically about the devotional service. So I tried to explain that person, but he said, no, Lord is not there. So I said, okay. And actually it is very important for devotees also, that's why to preach. And that's why Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, one who preaches this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is very dear. And on another occasion also, I was distributing a book, and 8th standard students were there, so they were going. So I stopped I called them, please come here, I will explain you Gita. So 2 of them, they went, one came near. I asked him his name. And I said, do you know about Bhagavad Gita? He said, yes, I know. What you know? He said, Bhagavad Gita is manual of human life. I said, good, how you know? He said, actually, I participated in this Bhagavad Gita contest, that's why I know. Then I felt very happy actually. He said, just manual of human life, every knowledge is there about our life. So then I asked, what are you doing here? He said, actually I went for a movie with my friends. And I said, in which standard you are? He said, I am in 8th standard. I said, okay. So you are alone? Are your parents aware of this fact that you have come for movies? Yes, he said, actually my parents are also there, they are watching another movie. And it was really surprised. That student, he was very nice, innocent. But I was just thinking, if this knowledge is not there, then ultimately, gradually, he is involved in such activities. Now 8th standard boy, he is going for a movie, and for parents also it is not very unusual, it is common, it is to do activities in the list on weekends. But at least I remember when I was a child, at least our culture was such that going to movie was beyond imagination. And even if I would go with my friends in 11th or 12th standard, I would make sure that my parents, they are not aware of this fact. Otherwise, they will directly cancel my admission and they will ask me to work in field. That was the kind of culture. So this culture, it depends on the knowledge actually. That's why this preaching is very important. And by some fortune, we are fortunate to come to this process of devotional service. And we have to practice this devotional service seriously. So we'll try to, and in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, the most confidential knowledge is about bhakti. So we'll try to just go through what Krishna and Prabhupada says about this confidential knowledge, so that we are inspired to practice it more seriously, sincerely. So this 9th chapter is the Raj Vidya, the most confidential knowledge. So first shloka of this is, anybody knows? 9.1. Okay. Sri Bhagwan Vacha. Idam tu te guhyatamam pravakshami anusuyave jnanam vijnana sahitam yajnatva moksha se shubhat. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjuna, if possible, can you project it there, that verse? Meantime, we'll... The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence. So here Krishna is telling that I am telling you, explaining you this knowledge because you are not envious. Now one may wonder, at least I can see, then how I got this knowledge in spite of being envious? I can see that envy is there. How I got this knowledge? Because of the causeless mercy. It is not that I am qualified and I got knowledge. Now I got this knowledge, so I have to qualify myself by becoming more serious, by taking shelter of this process of devotional service. So here Krishna is saying that this is most confidential knowledge. So ignorance is lack of knowledge, but when we are in knowledge, we will not be frustrated in our life. And knowledge, different category or different level of knowledge is there in this world. But that knowledge is not useful for us, because it is not useful for us to understand our original nature, our spiritual nature, and that way it is not very useful. So I will just go through this purport and we'll try to discuss the... So purport is, in this verse basically what is explained, because you are not envious, I am giving you this most confidential knowledge. So we have to understand this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is most confidential. And specifically the purports of Prabhupada, they are also very enlightening, very hope-giving. So we have to every day make sure we read Bhagavad Gita. And so I just wanted to recite these verses of Gita Mahatmya. We will do that also, otherwise we'll forget. So first 7 verses are there. They are mentioned in the introduction. Prabhupada in the end, he gives all these verses. So actually this Bhagavad Gita is very important. So Prabhupada says, the first verse is, Gita Shastram idam punyam yaha pathet prahta puman Vishnu padam avapnoti Bhaya Shokadi Varjita. This is first verse. And the translation is, if one properly follows instructions of Bhagavad Gita, one can be freed from all miseries and anxieties of life. So, if we follow the instructions, so for that we should know, and then we may think about following them. So, if we do that, what is the result? One can be freed from all miseries and anxieties of life. So, many times when we explain this knowledge, when we apply, when we know, we will be free from difficulties. Actually, it is very difficult for people to understand. They say, okay, this is okay, but tell me the solution, how I can get rid of miseries. Actually, this itself is a solution to read this Bhagavad Gita and try to follow. Then second is Gita Adhyan Silasya Pranayama Parasya Cha Naiva Santihi Papani Purva Janma Kritani Cha. If one reads Bhagavad Gita very sincerely and with all seriousness, then by the grace of the Lord, the reactions of his past misdeeds will not act upon him. So we understand that this material world is like a jail, and we are all we are all prisoners. And why we are in prison? Because we have done something wrong. So every living being who is in this world, who is embodied by the material body, he is a culprit. He has done something wrong. So here what is said, what this verse is saying, that by the grace of the Lord, the reactions of his past misdeeds will not act upon him. So when we very sincerely and seriously read Bhagavad Gita, all of us, we have lot of sinful reactions which we have to suffer. They will not act upon us if we sincerely read. What to speak of following? If we follow, then it will be all the more good for us. Then, this is second verse. Third is, Mala nirmochanam pumsam jalasnanam dine dine sakrat gitamrita snanam samsara malanashanam. One may cleanse himself daily by taking a bath in the water, but if one takes a bath even once in the sacred Ganga water of Bhagavad Gita, for him the dirt of material life is altogether vanquished. So just like we clean this body with the water, we have to clean with water, Ganga water of Bhagavad Gita. And below, Prabhupada says, actually, Bhagavad Gita is even more purifying compared to Ganga, because Ganga is coming from the lotus feet of the Lord and Bhagavad Gita from mouth. So Prabhupada also says, actually, since Lord's body is absolute, there is no difference between lotus feet and mouth. But still, if we, I will just read that as it is. I am not getting that thing. Then next shloka. So this, the translation I will just read of this. One may cleanse himself daily by taking a bath in water, but if one takes a bath even once in sacred Ganga water of Bhagavad Gita, for him dirt of material life is altogether vanquished. Then next is Gita Sugita Kartavya Kimanne Shastra Vistare Ya Swayam Padmanabhasya Mukha Padmat Vinisrita. Because Bhagavad Gita is spoken by personality of Godhead, one need not read any other Vedic literature. One need only attentively and regularly hear and read Bhagavad Gita. In the present age, people are so absorbed in mundane activities that it is not possible for them to read all Vedic literatures. But this is not necessary. This one book, Bhagavad Gita, will suffice because it is essence of all Vedic literatures, and especially because it is spoken by Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Bhagavad Gita is what? It is essence and it is sufficient. Many times when we try to distribute people, they say, oh, this is all right, Bhagavad Gita is okay, but I want Vedas. So we have to understand Vedas are very vast body of knowledge. And the essence of it is Bhagavad Gita. So as a devotees also we have to develop this faith and every day try to read Bhagavad Gita, try to understand purports of Prabhupada. Then we will not be frustrated in our spiritual practice, in our sadhana bhakti. Then next is 5. Bharatamrita sarvasvam Vishnu vaktrad Gita gangotakam pitva punarjanmana vidyate. One who drinks the water of Ganga attains salvation. So what to speak of one who drinks the nectar of Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavad Gita is the essential nectar of Mahabharata, and it is spoken by Lord himself, the original Vishnu. Here he says. Bhagavad Gita comes from the mouth of Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the Ganga is said to emanate from the lotus feet of the Lord. Of course, there is no difference between mouth and feet of the Supreme Lord, But from an impartial study, we can appreciate that Bhagavad Gita is even more important than water of Ganga. So, for taking bath in Ganga, how much endeavor it is. From here you have to reserve reserve the train, whether you will get a ticket or not, then go there, then spend time. So this is just by mercy of Prabhupada, we have got Gita, we have translation, we have purport for explanation of the verse. So we can just read, just by reading one verse, actually, we can purify ourselves. Actually, many times I explain this to others also, even many friends and relatives, but individually I fail to apply this actually. Just 5 minutes, 10 minutes. If we read, it is very purifying and one will never be frustrated in one's spiritual life actually. Because this knowledge, it revives it cleanses our ignorance. Then next verse is Sarva Upanishado Gavo Dogdha Gopalanandana Partho Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta Dugdham Gitamritam Mahat. So this is 6th verse of these 7 verses are there. This is 6th verse. And I think this Gita Mahatmya is written by Acharya. Yes. This Gita Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita, the essence of all Upanishad, is just like a cow, and Lord Krishna, who is famous as a cowherd boy, is milking this cow. Arjuna is just like a calf, and learned scholars and pure devotees are to drink the nectarian milk of Gita. So, from this Gita, we can understand more this Gita properly, in a proper way, in the association of devotees. Devotees, they are like milkmen. They milk this we can understand more properly in the association of devotees Gita. Then last verse of Mahatmya is Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Gitam Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva Eko Mantras Tasya Namani Yani Karmani Ekam Tasya Devasya Seva. So in this present day, people are very much eager to have one scripture, one God, one religion and one occupation. Therefore, Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Gitam. Let there be one scripture only, one common scripture for the whole world, Bhagavad Gita. Eko Devaki Putra Eva. Let there be one God for the whole world, Sri Krishna. Eko Mantras Tasya Namani. And one hymn, one mantra, one prayer. The chanting of his name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Karmapi ekam tasya devasya seva, and let there be one work only, the service of the personality of Godhead. So these verses are Gita Mahatmya's shlokas verses. They explain about the importance of reading and having this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. So coming back to this first verse, so this knowledge, Krishna is saying, because you are not envious, I am giving you. This knowledge is most confidential. Knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is most confidential. And what is the result? One may ask, oh, what is there? What is the result if I know this knowledge, if I understand? One will be relieved of the miseries of material existence. Well, one will not be frustrated. And actually, as a devotees, we have to present this as a science, actually. This is not meant for just Hindu people or some other particular group of people. This is meant for every human being, whether one is Muslim or Indian or this or that. Actually, and as a devotees, it is our responsibility that we should not portray this as a Hindu scripture actually. And Prabhupada in his presentations when he went abroad, most of the times he emphasized this fact that this is science, just like physics, just like chemistry. One can study irrespective of one's background, one's birth. Science anybody can study, medicine anybody can study, engineering anybody can study. So similarly, this is knowledge of the soul. We are soul, we have this material body, we have subtle body, we have gross body, we are spirit soul. So this knowledge is applicable for everybody. And recently, I was distributing books. So 2 boys, they came. I was actually approaching. They were parking their vehicle, 2-wheeler. So I asked them, please take this. I think I was having laws of nature, so I showed it to them. You can take this book. This is very helpful, beneficial. If you are student, and they were student, so I said, this is very helpful. So that boy, he said, no, I am Muslim, I will not take. I asked him, which college you are studying? He said, I am studying in Symbiosis, SIT. I said, see, this is like your engineering, this is like your physics. Anybody can study, whether one is in your class, many Hindus are there, Muslims are there, you are studying this, and your teacher may be Hindu, you are listening from him. So this is similar knowledge you can take. Still he was reluctant. He said, I don't have money. Then I said, okay, you can carry like that. He said, no, I am going for namaz. I cannot take this. But then two of them, they were Muslim. Then I said, you can take it for free, no problem. Then he took it actually. So this is very important for us to present it in non-Hindu way actually as a science. And here also one group of boys and girls, they had come one day in our this space outside temple hall. So I explained them about Gita, and then among them one girl was Muslim actually. And she took one, I think, life comes from life or something. So, because titles of the books are also, they are very scientific. So, people, they can accept it if we present it in non-religioustic way, so-called, as a science. So, we'll try to at least read this purport. So, as a devotee hears more and more about Supreme Lord, he becomes enlightened. So, for devotees, it is very important to hear. And what we should hear from Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. And specifically, if we read Prabhupada's purport, it is like hearing. We have to read regularly. It is very important. This hearing process is recommended in Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam also emphasizes this hearing. The messages of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are full of potencies. And these potencies can be realized if topics regarding the Supreme Godhead are discussed among devotees. So, messages, whatever we hear about Lord, it is full of potencies. And these potencies can be realized if we discuss this amongst devotees. Actually, we have to develop this culture individually to discuss Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam with devotees. Many times individually I fail to do this. I feel, somehow it is not happening or it doesn't happen. But we have to individually try. This cannot be achieved by association of mental speculators or academic scholars, for it is realized knowledge. The devotees are constantly engaged in the Supreme Lord's service. The Lord understands the mentality and sincerity of a particular living entity who is engaged in Krishna consciousness and gives him the intelligence to understand the science of Krishna in the association of devotees. So, in association, we have to be always engaged in the service of the Lord. So, that may be hearing, reading, or rendering service, or praying. And we also have to check our mentality and sincerity. Because Lord, He understands and accordingly gives us intelligence. So this mentality or attitude, Prabhupada also says attitude, advancement depends on the attitude of follower in Krishna consciousness. So we have to always check our own mentality and seriously how much it is on right track. If it is not, we have to always bring it on the right track, and the best way is to read Prabhupada's books and Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and do all the and practice this 9 limbs of devotional service as much as possible in offenseless way. So actually this purport is very nice. You can go through this purport. It is homework. I will also go. And second verse actually I wanted to discuss this verse. This verse actually Prabhupada explains the whole process of devotional service. Second verse. Raj Vidya Rajaguhyam Pavitram Idamuttamam Pratyakshav Dharmyam Susukham Kartumavyam. This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secret. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives the direct perception of self by realization, it is perfection of religion. It is everlasting and it is joyfully performed. Actually, this verse purport is very, very important. So, you can go through this. And also I wanted to read this purport where actually we are responsible for our situation. Lord is not responsible in any way. So this purport is very important. This verse, I think this is 5.15. Very nicely Prabhupada explains in this. I also wanted to read this purport, but you can go through this. How we are only responsible. Many times people they argue, oh, if difficulties are there, if problem is there, if misery is there in this world, Lord is not there. How can miseries be there in world or in my life? So all these answers we can very comfortably, very confidently give based on this purport. Purport is very nice. This is 5.15, 15th verse of 5th chapter. So we'll stop here. Please forgive me if I have spoken something unpleasing or beyond. Obviously it is beyond realization and practice. But kindly pray for me so that I should be more sincere, serious in devotional service. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.